Good evening. So we are continuing with the Uddhava Gita. This is chapter 19 and we had done till verse 11. So now we are going to do from verse 12 onwards. If you recollect, yesterday we were talking about the Bhur, Bhuvar and Swar, and there are the rulers connected to it. So this is where we had ended. So today we are going to continue beyond that. So we are doing Uddhava Gita, chapter 19, verse 12. The Swar became the abode of the gods, the Bhuvar that of the spirits, the earth that of men, and the sphere beyond the Swar, the abode of the Siddhas. When we say Bhu, Bhu is a word for the earth. Bhu means earth. Also means mud also, but earth. So the earth was the domain of all the human beings. Now when we say human beings doesn't mean that the animals and birds and other things are not there. They are also very much there. But the main creatures on earth, that is Bhur, are the humans, the men. Now we come to the middle portion. The middle portion is the one which we call as the Bhuvar. The Bhuvar is in between the heaven and the earth. So this is the domain of the spirits, the spirit world as we say. See, the spirit world consists of all the ghosts and goblins and all those creatures that we can think of. They dwell in the spirit realm. So this particular middle layer, Bhuvar, became their abode. So they remain over there. And then the higher one, which we call as the Swar. If you see Swarga, if I say Swarga, so it tells you clearly what Swarga means. Swarga means the heavens. So this became the abode of the gods. All the Swargas became the heavens of all the gods. Now, when we say gods, we are not talking of the supreme divine. No, not at all. This is in the plane of creation, Maya's domain. So, in the Maya's domain, there is the Swarga also. So, if I take the Maya into consideration, there is a portion called Swarga, means the heavens, the godly beings, the people, those who have a kind of an immortality for a very long time. They can be more, they can live for a very, very long time. So such kind of beings are called the gods. Now these are not what we say as the capital God. These are called the demigods. Demigods are lower than the gods, very lower than that divine God. So this is below the Brahma. So the Brahma is still not here, by the way. If you recollect, Brahma is somewhere beyond. So we are talking about the three layers. That is the Swar, the heavens of all the demigods, starting from Brahmaji, Indra, Vishnu, Shiva, everybody's heaven. Below that is the spirit world, and below that is the world for all the men, the people, right? And now if we take into consideration what is beyond the Swar. Now beyond the Swar also there must be something, isn't it? So beyond the Swar, beyond the heavens, is the world of all the sages, saints, all those people. Right. So they are the siddhas. They are the pure beings rather. So we move to verse 13. Uddhava Gita chapter 19 verse 13. The Lord Brahma made the regions below the earth, the abode of the Asuras and the Nagas. Works characterized by the three gunas led to the three spheres. So, from here onwards, you will get a different understanding of where do these other creatures come from. So, Brahmaji created the regions below the earth. Below the earth. So, if you remember Swar, that was for the Swarg, that is for the gods. The last one was called for the men, the human beings. That is the Bhulok, right? So below the Bhulok, there is a region for the Asuras and the Nagas. The Asuras, the kind of negative powers that are there. We have the Asuric Shakti. Now, these asuras are negativity involved in this world. We can't call them pure demons. Demons are different. Here, the asuras can be slightly more attuned towards betterment, I can say. But the asuras also are dangerous, just like the snakes which are there. The snakes are from the lower region, the asuras are from the lower region. Work characterized by the three gunas led to the three spheres. I think we have clearly discussed about this in the other text also. And here also we are doing the same. Sorry, they come to pick up the waste. So we have to let them go. Otherwise the noise will be there. So, work characterized by the three gunas led to the three spheres. Now, whatever work a person does, those who have been following us in all these other chapters, whether it is the Bhagavad Gita, whether it is the Uddhava Gita, the Das Bodh, or any other scripture that we have done, there is always a mention of the kind of activity that a person does, the work that he does. The work can be very sattvic in nature. Sattvic means he is good, kind, compassionate. He has goodness in life. He is not looking for harming anybody. He has got godliness in him. So such a kind of a person who does the work diligently, that person comes from the sattva. Then we have the Rajasic kind. The Rajasic kinds are those people who have the ego in them. I do it, I did it, those kind of things. They have a tremendous amount of ego. They love to show off. They have got money power. They have got power of the wealth. They flaunt their wealth. They keep on showing the world, oh, I have this and I have that. They love to be admired. They love to be adored. Such kind of people are called Rajasic people. So these are the Rajas. And then we have the Tamas, the absolutely lazy kind. They are not willing to do anything. They are sleepy. They are always indulging in the wrong acts. That is, lust and greed are a part and parcel of their life. They go to the lower depths of, indulging in all kinds of acts like drinking, smoking, womanizing, and all kinds of things. They are basically a people, those who are tamasic in nature. So the three gunas specifies which sphere that you can go to. See, the spheres are there which are definite in this. If you recollect, those who are sattvic will be born in a rich family which is spiritually well off. That means They are spiritual families. They will have money and they will be much better off. This is what we had discussed. So if you are in this life, if you are very, very sattvic, you may be coming from a very poor background, doesn't matter. You may be coming from a very poor background, but you are very kind hearted, you are compassionate, you are doing all the acts as per the scriptures and the dharma. You are not indulging in any kind of treachery, no deceit, no nothing, you don't tell lies. You are a truthful person, you are a godly person. So in your next life, you will be born in a better human family, spiritually perfect family. So you can then graduate upwards. This is the reason. Then those who are rajasic in nature, they are indulging in all kinds of haughtiness. They are egoistic people. I like this, I hate this. They have the extreme nature. They are very, very, kind of a dangerous people to live with. So these people acquire things. They want, they desire, they love to be in the limelight. These kind of people. The rajasic in nature. They will be born as demons. I think we had already discussed that. Or they will get a human womb, which is the worst kind. That means they will be born in a very, very poor family. Now, this is for the next life. Now I want you to think very carefully. Today, if there is someone who is suffering very badly, is coming from an absolutely poor background, has no food to eat, you judge for yourself what would be this person in his previous lifetimes. It's a very common inference, isn't it? Like you can immediately say, oh, this person must have been a very egoistic person. So you got the answer. That they have the asuric tendency also. They have the anger on their nose, These people are very, very angry. They are upset. They are always lost in their own mind. This kind of people, they will be born in that kind of home. So you now understand where they come from. And if this life, if they are behaving this way, then the next life will be definitely demonical. So did you get the downward, how they pass downward? That is how it is. And then we take the tamasic kind of people. The tamasic kind of people will be born as a rakshasa, a snake, or those kind of creatures, very, very lowly creatures. And this is what the Puranas, even Sri Krishna is saying the same thing. So now we go to the next verse. So we are doing Uddhava Gita, chapter 19, verse 14. Now this is a very critical verse for everybody who has lesser understanding. See, this answer you need to know. People do yoga, all kinds of yoga. So for them this is a very critical verse. So let us see what the verse says. So we are doing the Uddhava Gita, chapter 19, verse 14. Yoga, asceticism, and renunciation leads to the pure spheres of Mahar, Jana, Tapas, and Satya. But Bhakti Yoga leads to my abode. Now let us say you are a person practicing yoga. It can be Hatha Yoga, it can be Kriya Yoga, it can be any kind of yoga that you are indulging in. You can be doing even Karma Yoga. Or you may be a Sankhya Yoga person. It really doesn't matter. Some kind of a yoga which you are doing. Or if you are an ascetic, you go to the Himalayas, you are sitting over there and you are praying very, religiously to God. You are practicing these kind of activities. You are an ascetic. You can stand on one foot. For 10,000 years also, doesn't matter. I'm just saying 10,000 years. In olden times, they would do that. In today's day and age, even 10 minutes people have a difficulty. so, so there are ascetic people. So asceticism or renunciation. You have renounced the whole world. You say, I am a renunciate. And you wear the orange color clothes and you go out in the world. You become a Swamiji. A Swami with orange color clothes who is a renunciate. Now, for these people, just above the heaven, there are worlds which are called the Mahar, Jana, Tapas, and Satyaloka. So these are differentiations between the. Now these are also the godly kind. It's not that just human beings go there. Even the gods are staying over there. So here we have the Maharlok, the Janalok, the Tapaslok, and the Satyalok. So these are divided amongst them. Now, what happens to those who are on the path of devotion? The love and devotion is the only path. No other path you can take in this world to reach Krishna. You cannot take any other path at all. So Bhakti Yoga leads to my abode. Krishna is telling Uddhava, Bhakti Yoga, only the power of devotion leads you to my abode. That is Golok Vrindavan. So that is the only place which is called the second divine unmanifest, where I am the supreme person. It is my supreme abode. This is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita very clearly. Here also he is saying the same thing. All the other heavens are below him, below. So this is one loka which doesn't ever perish. Rest everything perishes. So my abode doesn't perish. So Krishna is very clearly telling you only the path of devotion, love and devotion is the only path which leads to my abode. Got it? So we do the next verse now. We are doing Uddhava Gita chapter 19 verse 15. Owing to me, who am time and the ordiner of everything, this world with diverse karma rises and sinks in the streams of the gunas. I just explained to you this line, but I will repeat it for you. Owing to me, who is the time and the ordiner of everything. See, I am the time. Time is Krishna himself. Please understand this. Time is Krishna himself. And he is the one who has ordained this whole thing. One who has set the ball rolling. All the laws of the lands, every place, he is the one who has ordained. So final resting authority is Krishna himself. He is the one who writes the books. Physically doesn't write the book. What it means is all the laws of this world related to karma and every other thing, including the Vedas, are coming from him alone. These are the basic laws which you need to know. They come from him alone. So these laws are his. Right? So, because he is the time and the ordainer of everything in this world, with diverse karma rises and sinks in the streams of the gunas. It is because of karma. I explained this. If you do karma of any kind, it could be just a simple act. A simple act of sitting down, getting up, eating, sleeping, drinking, walking, talking, breathing, you can name it. It's nothing but jobs are happening, work is happening, activity is happening. Isn't it? So it is a karma which is constantly happening. And because the karma is happening, there is always going to be the karmic law at play. But it is defined by time. Got it? So, I will explain this slowly to you once again. Let us say there is a person in this world who says that I am a very good person. You see, I remove a certain amount of my salary and I give it to the temples, or I give it to the guru, I give it to the cows, I give it to, my parents, and I spend it on the upkeep of this world. Let us say there is this person who is doing this kind of an action. All right. So this is a karma which is happening in his world. So then tell me something. Do you think this karma is not going to give him the fruits of it? So all actions, there are going to be fruits of the action. So this action will lead him to the next life. And in the next life, he has to be repaid back whatever good that he has done. You have given food to the poor people. You have given shelter to those who are homeless. You have taken care of animals. You have put up animal shelters. You have donated to church, temple, or any other place. You have given the guru some kind of a fund. Maybe put up his ashram, whatever. Or you might have helped this world. Maybe set up schools, or God knows, some kind of an institution. You have donated to the society. You have become very charitable. Naturally, there is a karma which you have done. People call it good karma. There is nothing called good karma and bad karma. No. Think, if you are doing good karma, aren't you supposed to be repaid back? See, if you are a rich man, very rich man, and you give 20 rupees to or 100 rupees to a poor beggar on the roadside, I want you to think this very carefully. If you just take out 100 rupee note and I give it to the beggar on the roadside, do you expect that person to return back that 100 rupees to you? No. So what does it tell you? That in your next life, if you are a rich person, why will you take the 100 rupees back from that person? So you won't, right? So there is a catch over here. What happens is, remember, that person was in need. You helped him out by giving him a 100 rupee note. So in some lifetime, he has to return that 100 rupees back to you. You will only take it if you need it. But when will you need it? Only if you are a poor man. Only if you are, literally begging in the streets for that kind of a money. Otherwise, why will you take? So have you not sanctioned yourself a life where by doing this kind of a sattvic acts, you have to get repaid in the same coin, exactly in the reverse order? This is something which people don't understand. So Sattva Guna, the way in which you do your, charity and this and that, actually it's a very difficult thing. That is why Ramakrishna Paramahansa, he shouted at a person who said, oh, I build temples and I build, hospitals and this and that. So Ramakrishna Paramahansa looked at him and said, God uses idiots like you to make those temples and churches and all that and the hospitals. Okay? You are not nothing great in that. It is God's way of doing things. Okay? So you forget about it. So I hope you understood what I'm saying. Now let us come to the sattvic, the rajasic kind of a work. So those who are following the path of the rajas, the guna which is the rajasic one, his next life, I told you, he is going to be born either as an absolutely poor person or he may be born as a demon. That's it. Now we come to the tamasic kind. The tamasic is the lazy fellow who doesn't want to do anything. He's a useless, he's a burden on the society. Such kind of creatures, such kind of people will be born in the lowest womb possible. The worms, snakes, you name it, those kind of, or they may be demonical in nature. That's it. You can't expect anything else from them. That is why he says, with this world with diverse karma rises and sinks in the streams of the gunas. All right? So it is because of the gunas, either you rise or you fall down. So we'll go to the next verse, which says, we are doing chapter 19, verse 16 of the Uddhava Gita. Whatever things come into being, minute or vast, thin or stout, all partake of the two principles, Purusha and Prakriti. This is a simple verse which will tell you, whatever thing that you take in this world, whether it is thin or fat or you name it, anything, could be anything for that matter, could be just water also, could be just air also, could be just a stone also, anything. It is nothing but a collaboration between Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is the framework principle. Don't forget it. If you don't have any idea, listen to the previous satsang, you will get an idea about it. And the Prakriti is Mother Nature. Mother Nature and this principle came together to create all kinds of bodies. All kinds of bodies, things, creatures, you name it. Got it? So you should always say this is a collaborative venture between the Purusha and the Prakriti, the active and the passive principle. Got it? We go to the next verse. So this is Uddhava Gita, chapter 19, verse 17. That from which a thing originates and into which it dissolves abides also in the intermediate state. That alone is real. The modifications have a mere phenomenal existence, as in the case of metallic and earthenwares. Now, here he is explaining something to us which we need to have a little understanding. Now, let us say if I am making a gold chain. Got it? I am making a gold chain or a ring, a gold ring. Now, I take a small block of gold and I got to melt it. I got to melt it and I got to shape it. So prior to the block of gold, that nugget which you get, to the final chain or the ring that is there is an intermediate stage where it's neither this nor that. It is neither that gold, that piece of the block of gold that is there, or neither it is the chain. So there is an in-between phase. Got it? In the same way, you will find that there is water on one side and there is ice on the other side. In between that, there is also a stage. Do you know this or you don't know this? It's called the fluid stage. Between gas and liquid, there is a fluidity in between, isn't it? So this is a stage either neither here nor there. Got it? In the same way, when human beings are born, we are born, there is a stage where there is no differentiation. Everything is coming together, everything is falling in place. So I can't even say that there is just a soul, which we call as the Jivatma, or there is a body, because it's a lump of flesh. A lump of flesh with just the Atma in it has no value. Got it? What value is it? It's not even taken shape. So there is something which is called the intermediate stage. So that from which a thing originates and into which it dissolves abides also in the intermediate stage. So there is an intermediate stage. That alone is real. What is real? That is real. The stage in between, the fluidity is there. Now this is a difficult thing for us to know also. So far science has told us, okay, there is a law which says the light is a particle. Some say it's a wave. You know that wave particle theory? Okay? Quantum, they call it quanta. Huh? Now, what is quanta? It's called the packet of energy, isn't it? Is it there as a wave or is it a particle? So, where there is a big question mark in everything, that is the intermediate stage. That intermediate stage is connected to the divine. We have this is now I will come to it. So, the stage, taking the breath in, inhaling, stop, exhale, stop, inhale, stop, exhale. Now the word stop which comes in the middle, that is the in-between stage, intermediate stage. In the intermediate stage, you are actually very close to reality. That is why that stage is called the Kumbhaka. It's the in-between stage. So when you are in the in-between stage, you are actually close to reality. I hope you understood what I am saying. The reality means the truth about life. What are you? You are dwelling neither here nor there. So you can't be called as that or you can't be called as this. You are somewhere in the middle. And that middle is the fluid state of being. The fluid state is the state connected to the other world. Other. Kumbhaka. It's a pot shape. P-O-T, pot. Pot shaped one. So the modifications are a mere phenomenal existence. So this and that is only a physical phenomenal existence. So whether it's a particle or whether it's a wave. So if it is a wave or if it's a particle, that is only a phenomenal existence. It doesn't actually exist. It is there only for time being and then it disappears. So when you see the wave or you see the particle, but the in-between quanta stage is not at all able to understand. In the same way, human beings, when they go into the intermediate stage, are very close to the destination, the divine destination. That is the reason why it is very close to being, you are very close to divine. So even while you are doing yoga or pranayama, the state which is the kumbhaka is closer to God. Alright? Right, we go to the next verse now. So we are doing chapter 19 verse 18. That using which a material at antecedent state produces a consequent one is alone the reality. A state from which another state originates and into which it is dissolved is also relatively called real. This is what I explained to you just now. The state which is the material, basically the material, gold as the material, gold to the chain, gold chain. So I take the piece of gold and I melt it. The melted gold can become the log of that gold also, that nugget, whatever you call it, and the brick. Or it can become a chain also. If I shape it, it becomes a chain. Got it? So here he says that which as a material is antecedent state produces a consequent one. This state can produce this or it can go back in that state. It is alone the reality. The middle one is actually in the reality. Likewise, a state from which another state originates, from this state to that state, the in-between state into which it is dissolved, is also relatively called real. It is nearly in the state of the real, the truth, the godliness as we call it, very close to it. But we cannot understand that unless and until it's a deep philosophy. We have to go into the depth of it. You have to have a teacher who will teach you this kind of a pranayama, the meditative techniques, where you are neither in the body nor in the heavens. You are in the state of samadhi, the in-between state. You are neither in the body nor in that final state. If you are in that state, then the body is dead. Got the answer? The body can't be dead and you can't be there. So that in-between state is the state of samadhi also. Got it? And that is why it is called the real state. So we go to the next verse now. Right. So we are doing chapter 19, verse 19. Prakriti, which is the material cause of the manifested universe, Purusha, which is its substratum, and time, which is a factor of its manifestation, all these three verily am I, the Brahma. Now, here Krishna is giving an indication that he is there, here, and everywhere. So he says you can take the Purusha on one side, the framework on which everything is made. Is a substratum. It's a framework on which everything is created. That substratum called the Purusha. The Prakriti is the mother nature. And the factor which is the time in between. What creates this whole thing. All this, if you take all this into consideration, all these three states are the Parabrahma, which is me only. I am these three states. So don't be under this impression that I don't exist in that state. So I am the Purusha also. So in the Purusha, if you remember my previous lessons, I said very clearly that it is he who takes the form of a Narayana. And then as a creation progresses, the Purusha and the Prakriti create the universes. Prakriti is mother nature. She is the potency, the power potency. We call it the Shiv and the Shakti. For those who are the Saktas, they call it the Shiv and the Shakti. So Brahma, okay, is divided into Purusha and Prakriti, Shiv and Shakti. Got it? So you can call it whatever you wish to. Now you may be a follower of a particular kind. You may be person who follows the Krishna's methodology. Alright, you could be a Vaishnava also, believer of Vishnu, or you could be a believer of Shiva. So Shiva and Shakti, and Vaishnavas will believe in Purusha and Prakriti. He says all these are driven by time, isn't it? The factor called time, that is the factor which drives this whole manifestation. And all these three is me only. I am the essence in everything. You should never forget this. He is physically not present in that. We have already discussed this. He is physically not present in that. He is the essence in everything. Okay. So now we go to the next verse. We are doing chapter 19, verse 20 from the Uddhava Gita. Projection in its varied form goes on for the experience of the soul through an unbroken succession of cause and effect until the term of continuance of the world is over according to the will of the Lord. Now in this he is explaining, see, this is literally like a repetition of all our previous lectures that we have done, so many the satsangs that we have done in literally everything from the Bhagavad Gita to Uddhava Gita, to name it, all kinds of scriptures that we have done so far. It's the same thing getting repeated. So for that purpose, just listen to it. He says projection in the varied forms. So Purusha Prakriti we did. goes on for the experience of the soul. Who is experiencing it? The inner being is experiencing it. The Jivatma is going through the experience of a man or a woman. You see, as a physical being, he is going through that experience, isn't it? He is experiencing it. It is like water is experiencing the bottle. Contained in the bottle, huh? So because the water is contained in the bottle, it looks like the water has taken the shape of the bottle. Got it? Likewise, when the Atma, the Jiva Atma, which is there in that body, the physical body of the human being, he is going through the experience of the human being. He is a witness. Got it? It is sometimes he gets trapped into this thing. But otherwise, he's just a witness. He's just watching. And anything that happens to you, he just watches. So that is what he's saying. Through an unbroken succession of cause and effect, all these lives which keep on coming and going, rebirths after rebirths after rebirths after rebirths, happens because of the karmic activity. As a human being, you do karma. All kinds of karma you do. Good, bad, whatever. There is no good and bad karma, but for the understanding's sake, I'm just saying good and bad. You do all kinds of karma. You either are on the sattvic or the rajasic or the tamasic kind of an activity you perform. All these activities have a cause and an effect. Whatever is the cause of something, there is going to be an effect, right? So this cause and effect thing is like a continuous flow, coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. So you are born so many times, millions of times. You will be having rebirths. Not necessary human birth. Like I told you, human birth is a rarity. Once in a blue moon it will come. Doesn't come all the time. So you got to be very careful with this birth of yours. Don't waste it. Huh? If you waste this life of yours, the precious life of yours, by going into the all the negative activities, all kinds of karmic debts, getting into attachments and bondage, and physically getting lost in the material world, running after money, power, greed, all those kind of things, you know what is going to happen. You will be born again, but you will go in a lesser womb. So this continuous cycle of rebirths, 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 rebirths happens until the term of continuation of the world is over, till the last yuga. 4 yugas are there. We did this also. The Sat Yuga, which is what is called as the Krita Yuga. Then we have the Treta. Then we have the Dwapara. And lastly, the Kali Yuga. So from the first to the last Yuga, you are going through this cycle. Only in the last Yuga, when everything is terminated, absolutely everything gets terminated, that time you will be dissolved and put back into the fluid state. Got it? So now let us move further. And everything happens according to the will of God only. Right. So we are doing chapter 19, verse 21. Then the universe, which pervaded by me, is the scene of the birth and the depth of multifarious creatures, is together with its spheres ready for the state called dissolution. Yes, this I explained just now itself. Now all this universe that is pervaded by me. See, in the previous verse, in verse 19, Krishna says very clearly that I am the essence in everything. Isn't that what he said? And because he is the essence in everything, he says, I am pervading this whole world, this entire creation. I am there in everything as an essence only. I am not physically present, remember? The power has gone. Just for a moment or so, we'll just wait. All right. So here he says, The universe, which is pervaded by me in the scene of birth and death of multifarious creature, is together with the spheres, ready for the state called dissolution. So, in the final stage, in the Kali Yuga, everything is hurtling towards dissolution, complete, you know, it is going to get dissolved and nothing is going to remain. This happens in a couple of hundreds of or thousands of years. It's like that. It's like a continuous activity. It's like revamping, the whole process starts all over again. And I'm sure you know that very well. It is always going to happen. The ice age comes, the whole world gets inundated with it, and then the new age starts all over again. We're doing verse 22 now from the Uddhava Gita, chapter 19. Thus the bodies of animals are dissolved into food, food into seed, seed into earth, and earth into odor. We'll do the next one also, 23. Odor dissolves into water, water into own essence, sap, sap into fire, and fire into color. So like this, the dissolution is happening. So what happens? Everything. Bodies of animals are dissolved into food. All the bodies of animals, they are dissolved into food for other creatures. See, we always think, oh, what happens to the body? The body goes down, isn't it? If a creature falls down like an elephant, if it is dead, it's dead in the jungle, let us say, or a big creature like all these dinosaurs and this and that, they were there, the huge creatures were there. When they fell dead, what happened? All the other small creatures, it became a food for them. Likewise, if there is a big fish that dies, it becomes a fodder for the small fish. When the small fish dies, it becomes a fodder for still smaller ones. It's like that. It's like a food chain, it keeps on going. So, the bodies of animals are dissolved into food, food into seeds, and seeds into earth, and the earth into odor. Everything finally goes backward into odor. Then odor dissolves into water. Okay, you have seen, if something is rotting, okay, the thing is lying in the water, it has got dissolved in the water. What remains? That dirty smell remains, isn't it? And it is dissolved in the water also. That dirty water is there, it's stinking, isn't it? I mean, you have seen this kind of a thing. Have we not understood this? That is what happened to all those mangroves, mangroves that grow into the marshy lands. All the mangroves get eaten up by the slush over there, and they become all the food. And that is why if you go in the mangrove, you cannot breathe. There's a lot of this methane gas coming over there. That is why if you go in a mangrove, you can see those blue fires, lighting up. I don't know whether you have seen it, but you will find that because there is methane in the air, there is less of oxygen over there, methane is there and it is burning. So methane, if that thing goes inside, if it is going inwards, it becomes crude after many years. This is a common phenomenon. It happens to become crude oil. So odor dissolves into water, water into its own essence, which is called the sap. Sap into fire, I just now explained, and fire into color. What color is the fire there? Blue in color, isn't it? Color. Now, we go to the next verse. This is chapter 19 from the Uddhava Gita, verse 24. So, Krishna is telling Uddhava, color dissolves into air, air into touch, touch into ether, ether into sound particles. The organs are dissolved in their efficient causes, the gods. Now all this is going backward. So we just now ended at odor. From that odor we finally came to color. Now color dissolves in the air, air into touch, touch into ether, ether into sound particles. Ether means the one, not ether. Ether means the one which is there. If I remove this entire air from here, what remains is called the ether, space. Space into sound particles. The particles of sound. Sounds are that which creates something. If you remember the Omkara, the primordial sound created everything. He said that. Now, I am not going to explain this whole process to you because we have done this n number of times. So sound particles are created. The organs are dissolved into their efficient causes, the gods. Each organ of your body is ruled by a particular god. The tongue, which is an organ for tasting as well as sound, larynx, the whole box. Ears, they have the sound is heard in the ears. Seeing, all these, the gods responsible for the seeing, they will get dissolved. These eyes are going to get dissolved in that. This is going to get dissolved in that particular, different gods are the demigods. The demigods take charge of their organs. They take everything and go with them because they have to recycle them once again. It comes back again and again and again. Sometimes the gods say that, okay, let me give him less of hearing. It is not the person, the Almighty God is not responsible for this. It is the karma which makes the person maybe deaf, maybe blind, maybe dumb or whatever. So that is how it is. The organs are dissolved in their efficient causes, the gods. So all these are going backwards, 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 and then they go back into this place called the gods. Right. I think we should stop over here because the next verse would be slightly difficult. And so what we will do is we will continue this in the coming weekend. Tomorrow is our other satsang, which is the Bhagavad Gita, in the morning tomorrow and in the evening also, as well as Wednesdays and Thursdays. So we will do according to that plan which we had designed. So I will stop over here, and we have stopped at verse 24 from chapter 19. I will see you all in the coming few days, and tomorrow morning I will see you for the Bhagavad Gita satsang. Take care. Have a great evening. Bye.